I have dogs to keep quiet.
It's all right.
Y'all have kids, I have dogs.
See who can be louder. All right. I'm showing as live on there.
I think so. Julianne, we good to go?
Yeah, we are live.
Looks like Doug has joined us as well.
Call the meeting to get to order at 5:32 p.m. You've got the auditor report. I'm assuming we're skipping that since the auditor isn't here. Address any issues?
No, we'll just we'll do it next time. They weren't able to make it this time, so but you do have the copy of that. So if you want to go through it and see if you have any questions for auditors, and we'll be prepared for the next meeting.
Okay. Is there an approval of the minutes for January?
I'll make a motion that we approve the January minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to financial items. Is there a motion to approve the checklist and financial statements for January, or any questions or concerns?
I have one question, Dina.
Mhm.
So we're paying a little over $1,000 twice a month for our hotspots, or is that what that Verizon wireless bill is mostly hotspots?
So there might have been a late. The bill might have been paid twice in January because of the holiday in December. So yes, it is about $1,000. We added those 5 extra, so it's going to be about $1,200, $1,300.
But so normally it's only one time a month?
Yes. So I think Verizon, we were a little bit late getting the bill out because I was on vacation and then the holidays in December. So it might be that might be a January and December bill.
Okay. It's on here on January 8th and then again on January 25th.
That might be.
That would
So it's
That would
normally
make
the end of the month.
Yeah, I'll double check that and make sure that we didn't double pay. But I'm pretty sure we were a little bit late, and that might be why.
Okay. Okay, so are we waiting on a motion? Has everybody had a
Yes.
chance to look at it?
Nobody has any more questions? We have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the checklist and the financial statements for January 2021.
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I just want to keep you get you guys up to date on our grant status. So this last year, the library received $1,500 from the Kentucky Humanities grant, and that was for the Smithsonian exhibit. And we also received the final $1,000 from the Stories Yes project that we started a while ago. And so those two grants have been closed out. We did receive the almost $3,500 for the LTSA grant, and that grant will run through October of 2021. We did purchase the 5 extra hotspots for and all our staff has been trained. So we're starting to circulate those. There is a possibility we can renew that grant for another year, and they'll pay for our hotspots coverage or internet for that. So we'll see how the program goes and see if we want to continue that. But our CDs automatically renewed in February, and I didn't. We were going to roll those over into a 12-month. I think this is a 9-month CD, but with everything going on, I just let it go. So with all the weather and pandemic stuff, it just didn't make sense to mess with that. So everybody should have gotten their KDLA monthly report, and probably just a few things that we need to highlight. They did update the trustee manual. That is available at the link on your agenda. If anybody wants a hard copy of that, please let me know and I'll have it printed out for you guys. I know sometimes it's hard to read that digitally. Next, there is a Kpla Association Awards possibility where board members or staff members can nominate a staff member or a board member for an award, and the link to do that is right there in your agenda, and that has to be done by the 26th, which is tomorrow. So there's also just a reminder that for new trustees, there needs to be orientations, and we don't have anybody that's new, so I think we're okay on that. So does anybody have questions about the monthly report or grants? Okay. All right, so the library's done pretty well, and we've been working on certification. We did get some new requirements for certification for staff members, so we're working through that, making sure everybody is meeting those requirements. We have 3 staff members who have temporary certifications and working towards full certification. They should be, most of them should be ready for that full certification. So we're kind of excited about that. Starting March 1st, we're going to increase our library hours. When we talked a lot about this in our staff meetings and to see what we could handle and what everybody's comfort level was. So we thought we would increase those hours to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 6. So we'd add 2 hours onto those days. Wednesdays, we'd like to keep that the 12 to 6 so that we can still have our staff meetings. That's been really vital for us to be able to communicate because we'll still be working in teams. And then we're going to add back that Saturday shift from 10 to 5. So how does that sound to you guys?
How does the Saturday shift work as a general rule? Is the staff fairly busy on Saturdays? I guess because when school is out, then more kids would come in on Saturday. But what about now?
Pre-pandemic, it depended on if we did pretty well if we had a program planned. Pre-pandemic, it was about 50 to 60 people if there wasn't a program. So it was being used. It's slower, but there are opportunities for us to get things done like inventory and things like that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a few people complain that there wasn't Saturday hours available, and we thought, there's really not an outlet for families to go to on Saturdays that don't cost a lot of money. So
That's true.
So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
As long as it's working, then, you know better than I know what works on Saturday.
Well, we're hoping that
I was just curious as to how many would use it under these circumstances as opposed to before COVID.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we're down to 50% of, our visits inside the building. So it'll be interesting to see how many people we do get on Saturday. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get the word out, even though we market it on, all of our media. it still lags. It usually takes 3 or 4 weeks for people to say, oh yeah, you're finally open, you know? So I'm guessing these first couple weeks are going to be pretty slow. So it will help our full-time staff get in their work though and not be at home. So they'll have more time in the building to work and use their own computers and things like that. And I think that will be helpful. So they announced March 1st that the 1C group, people who fall in that category will be able to receive vaccinations, but I think that you have to go to a federal vaccination site on those. And I'm still trying to find where the location is. And, but if we can get our staff vaccinated in the next month or two, there shouldn't be any reason why we can't go back to having more staff in the building. So hopefully we're moving towards that.
There are people from the area that have gone to Shelbyville and had vaccinations done.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's what's going to continue to happen or what's going to happen.
I think that's where our health district is vaccinating right now. I asked the health department to see if they would open, because they did it for teachers when they were trying to get all our teachers vaccinated. And they had the clinic over at the fairgrounds. And they had a really great turnout. And I'm not sure why they didn't continue vaccinating out there for our county. I think it's, for some people, it's going to be really tough to get to Shelby County. So
they continued to give vaccinations at the fairgrounds, second shot vaccinations at the fairgrounds. But when my wife called them to find out about getting on the list for 1C, they didn't have any information for her that would indicate that they were going to give 1C vaccinations here. They didn't say one way or the other. They didn't know.
Yeah, they still don't. The health department didn't know a day or two ago either. They said we haven't received any information on whether we will open up in Trimble County or not. And I don't know that they can 1C can receive the vaccination in Shelby County either, starting March 1st. I've got to find out where that federal site is for vaccination. So that's been a little bit difficult, but we'll get there.
So the library board or the library members, the library staff are under 1C?
We are.
Okay, like for the essential group?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, and they've all been informed on how to sign up for it and get notifications, so everybody's aware. I did. We had some questions about whether we could make our benefits contingent upon getting a vaccination, and so I reached out to our Employers Resource Association. They help us with our HR issues about requiring vaccinations to receive the COVID benefits. And I'm going to just read that because I quoted that in our agenda notes. The lady said, volunteer vaccines are generally categorized with wellness programs. Employers can provide a de minimis incentive for employees to engage in wellness programs if those programs require the disclosure of medical information. Since the pre-vaccination questionnaire does request medical information, it is possible that providing a strong incentive to get the vaccine would be seen as requiring employees to divulge medical information, which would violate ADA. Accordingly, there would be a risk of a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act if the organization provided paid leave only on the condition of having had the vaccine. So in another resource, I found that there's this, because I didn't know what de minimis incentive was, but there's limits of what we can offer for incentives. And if the incentive or if the conditions are too high or severe, then it may violate ADA, as it can be seen as coercing staff into taking the vaccine. So spoke to our regional director as well, and he said that usually punitive measures don't usually go over well. Incentivizing things, vaccinations usually is a better way to go. So it would be my recommendation that we would follow that advice and just encourage them to get vaccinated. And if possible, we could just use part of those 80 hours of COVID leave that we have already extended to pay for the staff members' time. Or, that second shot is also, I've heard, it's a little bit rougher than the first shot. So if they get sick, they might need some time as well. So how do you
So
guys?
I'm curious, have you heard them discussing, are they all pretty much wanting to get it, or do you have some that are totally against it?
There's some staff that are concerned about it and are probably not going to, and there's some staff that are. I really try not to ask as an employer, because I don't want to them at all, and it's kind of a health information kind of thing that should be private. So,
Where does
but we
that end with the HIPAA regulations as far as exposing medical information like that?
Probably so.
Doesn't that go against HIPAA?
Yeah, so I know, I totally understand your position though. Like, I feel like the board is doing your part to make sure that staff is healthy and safe and have time and they're taken care of. And it would be really nice if our staff members would do that, do their part as well. And, there might just be some different opinions on what staff thinks is in their best interest and what's not, but I have expressed that to them, that position that, they're not all libraries are giving these benefits and extended leave time this year. Some are, but some aren't. And I think that we could do our part in taking care of ourselves. So, but is there any further discussion on that?
I think that they, like the general public, are going to be a mixed bag. There are going to be people that want it, and there are going to be people that definitely do not want it. And then there are going to be people who are hesitant. They don't know yet whether they want it. And I don't think we should try to force them into doing that if that's the way they feel.
Yeah, and then
We offer them incentive if they want to, but I don't think they should feel like they're forced into anything.
right. And that being said, I let them know, I said, so, you'll have the opportunity to get the vaccine. So whether you're vaccinated or not, we will go back to work in the office. That won't be an excuse not to come in because you haven't gotten vaccinated. So, all right. So let's see. I think one thing we can take care of this time is our history room policy. I didn't send you a copy. It's so outdated. We don't even really have the Kentucky history room anymore. It's been converted to our teen room policy. So I'm not sure how to handle that. I've never had to end a policy before. So Pam might have some insight on how we word that, or if we even need to make a motion to discontinue that policy.
I think it could be noted in the minutes that we agreed that since we don't have the history room anymore, that policy would be null and void anyway. I mean, you could just note it in the notes of the minute and of the minutes, and then I think that would be sufficient. You don't have to end a policy you don't have to officially end the policy for a program that's already ended. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. So we'll just make sure that is reflected in the agenda or the minutes. And then I really wanted to go through our circulation policy. And when I was looking through my policy, my copy, I photocopied the odd pages. So we don't have a full policy there to look at. So we'll look at that next time. So I know Hannah's really upset about that. She's struggling with that. All right. So our building updates, Carl's Pro Painting finished the trim work, and that ended up costing less than the $1,800. So we spent over $1,300 for that, and it looks really good. I have been working on information for the playground equipment. Not getting a lot of response though for quotes, and I would have some concerns that that project would be done before summertime. Jackie Clifford is reaching out to our fiscal court and is reserving park space for programs this summer, and that's probably going to be the best we can do for that. So I also got some suggestions from our regional director. Said that, you know, it might be a good thing to partner with your fiscal court and see if they will help out with the insurance, because they already have insurance for their county park. And also they have to provide a yearly inspection for that. So that might be something that we can work with them on to see if we can get some help with the maintenance part of it and the insurance part, because I guess it's kind of costly. So the furnace has been not working for about 2 weeks, and with the bad weather, it was hard to get somebody in to work on it. It doesn't look like it's a coil this time. It looks like there was a joint that was leaking, and so all of the refrigerant leaked out. And so that's going to be costly to replace that refrigerant out of one unit. So that's, they were supposed to finish up with that project today. So just expect probably a large bill. Oldham County Roofing has been called to come out and repair a leak that's in the roof by the fireplace. It's a minor leak, but there is some drywall damage on the ceiling that will need to be, I think we can probably just let it dry and replace those tiles or paint over the damaged wall board. So does anybody have any questions about building updates? Okay. We did receive some quotes for our internet service for next year, and this will be paid, 80% of it will be paid for through E-rate funds. Our current contract is with Spectrum. It was a 2-year contract, and we paid $10.50 a month for 500 Mbps internet. We spoke with our new tech crew, Shelter Blue, and they indicated that they didn't see that it would be a huge benefit if we increased those speeds this year, since we're not using the full 500 Mbps right now, and we haven't had any issues or problems with it. So Spectrum gave us a quote, a rate of about $1,600 for a 1-year contract with them. For a 2-year contract, it comes in at $10.50, the same as this last 2 years that we had. If for a 3-year contract, it came in at $1,200. And from AT&T, a 2 to 3 year contract would be a little over $1,200. So I would recommend that we stick with Spectrum. I've not had a great experience working with AT&T in their billing office. I would prefer just to stick with them since they already have our phone service and they deal with our Milton branch as well. So, but Milton branch internet costs would still be the month to month and would remain the same. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the internet quote from Spectrum with a 2-year contract for $10.50.
I'll second.
You got it. All in favor?
Did we vote?
Aye.
Did we vote? Aye.
Hannah
Did we all
Hannah
vote?
did it and Michelle second.
All right.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Programming is still going pretty strong. Our Vita tax preparation is just finally getting off the ground. Jackie's still doing grab and go bags and virtual story hours and working hard to plan our summer reading program this year. Sarah had some really great Black History Month programs, and they're working on March programs, which is going to center and be focused on Read Across America. So we're looking forward to those. Just statistics really quickly. January was a rough month. Our visits are down to almost as low as they were in July, and So they think that's just indicative of where we were with the pandemic and everything.
And
Weather, yeah. Our circulation therefore was down the second quarter. You could see it's a little bit, I think, more realistic this time. If you look at the second quarter compared to the first quarter, our circulation up there, we finally got our renewals and everything down in a better process, and it reflects a truer number. So attendance was down, so our wireless and computer sessions were down as well. We had 725 wireless sessions in January, and 71 people came in to use the computers. Our Milton branch was down a little bit as well last month. So hoping with the change in weather that we'll be able to turn those numbers around a little bit. So for next meeting, we're going to do the auditor will be there. And if we have time, we'll go through the circulation report and maybe do some planning for next year, some budgeting. We might have to push that budgeting back to May, but been talking with staff members, and they came up with a list of ideas that they think that might have utility, and they're listed there. One was a bookmobile. Playground, we've already been talking about that in the back of the library. Another program that we've been approached with is called Library Imagination, and David Eddy has talked about partnering with us on that, and it would provide 0 to 5-year-olds in the county one book a month. It would be mailed to their house. This is a program that's taken off in a lot of libraries across the state, and so I think it would be a great program for us to help get started. We've talked about, Doug?
I have a question on that one. I know Dolly Parton has been doing, I think it's 1 million books a month. Is that a geographical area for her, or could we tap into that program?
That is actually her program, Library Imagination. Yep, it's Dolly Parton's program. It costs about, I think the base cost is about $2.10 a book for a child, but that includes the shipping and everything. And it's a really neat program. They have a portal, admin portal where you sign kids up and can manage that. You can sign them up or discontinue their shipment. And you can verify that they're actually a resident of the county and that kind of thing. Okay.
I didn't know that was the name of her program. Okay.
Yep. So we've been taking trainings on that to see if that's something that we could even handle or manage. And I think that we have library funds to do that. And I think it would be a great kindergarten readiness program for the county. So we've also thought about expanding internet access. The county park. We'd been working with the fiscal court trying to get some outside wireless access points there, and it just hasn't gone through. The vendor that we've been working with is not returning calls and working with us very well. But it would be pretty easy if we could get their cooperation to set it up like the Milton branch. Be very, very easy. And it's with the funding that we receive for E-rate equipment, I mean, it would be very, very cheap to maintain. So, but that would give one more location in the county where people could drive to access internet. We've talked a little bit about adding on to the building to add a makerspace, or even building an annex, a little building that would support things like a lot of STEM, like 3D printing, sewing, quilting, a lot of activities that take a lot of space and special equipment. And we've also talked about, and this was probably our most popular idea, was partnering with the city to help renovate the community center and create a health and wellness center there. with information, with a computer lab, and with perhaps exercise equipment or a larger space to accommodate exercise programs. Our exercise programs have probably been one of our more consistent programs we've had at the library. And we can only get about 10 or 12 people in a room, in our meeting room to do that. So it kind of limits who can come. But so anyways, be thinking about those. And if you have another idea, we would love to hear about what you think we could do as a library for the next couple of years. So
On that note, would there be any duplication what the county extension office provides? You mentioned
with
like the 3D printing and additional annex building or different kinds of programs.
I don't believe that they provide 3D printing or anything like any technical. I could check on that. I could be wrong. I'm a little bit concerned about the makerspace just because it seems like it's a little bit of a fad, that's going to be real popular the next 5-10 years, and then it's just going to it's going to fizzle out.
I'm not familiar with that term even, makerspace.
It's basically, so Boone County, if you ever go through Boone County, their library has a makerspace, and
Yeah, I did a symposium there a couple of years ago, and it's a huge, rich building because of the money in the county, I suppose. But I didn't see anything makerspace.
What does that actually mean, makerspace? Dina, what is it?
Um,
It's actually space for the programs you were just talking about.
yeah, for people to come in and create, like
Okay.
yeah. So they'll have special equipment for like photoshopping, so they can come in. You can come in and learn how to Photoshop, engraving, bring in some wood, and you can upload a digital file and get something engraved there. Sewing, quilting, whatever you can imagine, you'd want to do. The libraries are doing it. And I think it's a great idea. I just have a few concerns on if we have the staffing and resources to keep that going. So it would definitely take somebody trained in all of those skills and be able to advertise it well and get people to come in and use it. But we've kind of been approaching it just like, so we purchased 3D printers and for the school and checked them out to the teacher there. Robotics, we've purchased we've had robotics equipment here that we weren't able to use for programs, and so we checked them out to the teacher at the high school. So we've kind of been trying to fill that gap there with makerspace items and STEM items, so science, technology, education, and math objects. We've been trying to fill that gap through the schools and helping them because their funds are low as well. So, but is there any feedback, or you guys want to think on it and bring more ideas to the table the next meeting?
Has there been any more talk at all about a sidewalk?
They dropped that. They dropped that project. I think they're trying to deal with sewer issues and sewer expansion. The community hasn't dropped that topic. I don't know what it's going to take for sidewalks to be built. And our hands are pretty much tied.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it may, and I hope that it doesn't, but it could take an accident for somebody to realize people need to be off the highway and onto a sidewalk instead of walking down the side of the highway to get to where they need to get to. But
well, what's scary is that
we're in the hard way.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a light out there yet by Dollar General, but people just speed through that area.
Other
like
than,
Navarro.
other than the school light, that's all, isn't it? Just the school lights that blink that say to slow down and go 25 miles an hour. Isn't that all there is out there?
I haven't been out there for a while, so I'm not sure. Hannah probably drives there more than I do.
Yeah, it's just like just like a school zone light. That's all there is.
School zone now. That's what I thought.
It only blinks during at 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Other than that, there's no.
Yeah, so it's dangerous out that way, but it's I definitely have talked. We can put a sidewalk across the front of our property, but I don't know that helps anything. You know.
I heard that it was primarily a property owner's objection to giving up some of their easement for a sidewalk. I don't know if that's true or not.
Don't they have eminent domain though, the city, like the state does, and the other people, the county roads and the state roads, don't they have a right to so many?
You know, I guess maybe the fiscal court's wanting to keep good PR going. I don't know.
I see.
I don't know either what the legal stance is. As a property owner, I would be like, well, they're walking on my grass anyways, you know, so I'd rather them be walking on cement rather than putting big divots and ruts in my grass when it's rainy and muddy. So, but, you know.
Now, most areas, once there is a sidewalk, it becomes the property owner's responsibility to keep it clear, like in snow time. Maybe that's part of what they're not wanting to be responsible for.
Perhaps.
Could be. All right.
There is one resident in Bedford who objected to the sidewalk coming in front of his home years ago, and ever since then he'll mow his grass, but he will not mow the grass strip on the other side of that sidewalk. So that strip of grass gets up to your knees, and because he didn't want that sidewalk there, so he won't mow. So people have different ways and different things of doing things, different thoughts about things.
Yeah.
So if the city would go out and mow it like a lot of other cities do and add it to his tax bill, it might change his mind eventually.
Probably so. Yes.
All right. So before I start talking to, fiscal court and people that we would need to partner on with some of these projects, I want to kind of have we need to make some choices. So we'll do that next meeting and can kind of give me some ideas of what we want to budget for next year or the next 2 or 3 years. And some of these are long-term projects. They're not going to get done in a year. So I'd also like to focus on some health initiatives for our staff and perhaps provide EAP, an employee assistant program for our staff. So I'm getting quotes for that. This has been a rough year. Wish we had this last year so we could get some counseling and stuff for people. And so that's kind of where I'd like to focus some money on this next year too. But I don't see a lot of other changes with our circulation and collection development and materials. So it'd be more.
Have you been in touch with the 7 counties agency as far as the EPA?
I haven't reached out to them. I didn't know that they provided anything. St. Elizabeth's, I've gotten a quote from them. I'm trying to get a hold of our Humana rep to see if there's an EAP through Humana that we could use as well. So, but I'd like to toss around the idea of possibly adding our part-time staff to Go 365. I think that you can add staff members and not give them the health benefits of Go 365, but not add them onto insurance. think a lot of our part-time staff already have insurance through their parents, so I don't know that would be a huge benefit for them. But the health incentives is kind of our staffs really enjoy that, being able to wear your Fitbit and get steps and earn points and things like that. So, but are there any other ideas that you want me to focus on and get quotes for the library for next year? You guys are like my staff today. You're like crickets.
I think this list that you have is a very good proposal.
Okay.
I have very creative staff. I have good ideas.
Well, I don't think that we're going to be able to do all of them, but if you could talk to, your people, your family, your friends, say, hey, what's going to get some feedback, and we'll definitely put a survey together, survey our community, get some feedback from them, and we'll
I
let
think
you.
that comes down to is what the people want, what they find an emphasis on.
Yeah, I'll talk to our fiscal court and our mayors and see what their input is, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. I don't have anything else unless you guys do.
Now I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:12.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Thank you.